Remember this?
Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a black woman?
Well, I can say, no, I think it's maybe a little bit different. So I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much. And she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
She has always identified as a black woman. She went to a historically black college.
I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't, because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn and she became a black person.
Just to be clear, sir, do you believe that
I think somebody should look into that too when you continue in a very hostile, nasty tone.
And how it's been repeated.
Are you crazy? You want me to throw more beers out? You want me to body slam somebody? You want me to body slam Kamala Harris?
By former professional wrestler Hulk Hogan, and many more, including...
Okay, let's talk about Janet Jackson's escapade. And no, not the song. When the singer was asked about the prospect of America electing a black woman president, she said of Harris, quote, well, you know what they supposedly said? She's not black. That's what I heard, that she's Indian. Her father's white. That's what I was told. I was told that they discovered her father was white. Yeah, that's not true.
No, it's not true at all.
I'm not going to spend my time trying to educate people about who black people are. I was born black. I will die black. And I'm proud of being black. And I'm not going to make any excuses for anybody because they don't understand.
And we already know this from quite literally months of fact checks.
My first thought when I saw this, where is Janet Jackson getting her news from?
It seems as if she's getting this from Randy Jackson.
How are you putting that together?
That's what everyone said. Randy Jackson was in a picture with RFK Jr. He's a Donald Trump supporter. It seems like he follows Donald Trump. It seems like maybe she's talking to Randy about politics and all of that stuff.
Thus, in an interview with The Guardian, the writer Nashin Iqbal would write, I'm floored at this point. It's well known that Harris's father is a Jamaican economist, a Stanford professor who split from her Indian mother when she was 5. My mother understood very well that she was raising 2 black daughters, Harris wrote in her book. Iqbal continued, the people who are most vocal in questioning the facts of Harris's identity tend to be hardcore QAnon-adjacent, Trump-loving conspiracy theorists. I don't think Jackson falls into that camp, but I do wonder what the algorithms are serving her. I start again. Harris has dual heritage, I say. And given this moment, does Jackson think America is ready for her if we agree she's black or, okay, a woman of color? Janet Jackson answers this way. I don't know. Jackson stage whispers, honestly, I don't want to answer that because I really truthfully don't know. I think either way it goes is going to be mayhem.
For her to just be drifting through the world and not have any sort of idea of what's happening with this situation, but then offer an opinion that is completely uneducated
right,
and completely wrong, and say that she hasn't watched the news in a couple of days, as if Kamala Harris could be black on Monday or white on Monday or Indian on Monday and then black on Thursday or Friday. It's weird.
Then Robin Autry would type for her piece, it wasn't so much that Jackson was misinformed, but that she echoed MAGA-fueled lies. She likened it to what we heard from Trump at the NABJ event, adding, the biracial Harris, who says she was raised as a black woman, attended the historically black Howard University, and pledged Alpha Kappa Alpha, the nation's oldest black sorority, happened to turn black out of political expediency, and that only recently. Autry goes on, at this point, it's difficult to view any questioning of Harris's race as anything other than an unwarranted personal attack. I agree. And it's disappointing that Jackson, who herself was mistreated, isn't making that connection. And now, here's the thing, okay? So I saw this, and I was like, Well, that's crazy to say something like that, because we have known, if you didn't, by the way, if you just woke up out of like a coma and you were like, who's running for president? And people were like, yeah, Trump versus Kamala Harris. And the coma person was like, oh, and then they saw the NABJ event. And then they saw hordes of evidence and tons of TV spots, tons of radio spots, tons of podcast spots, like analysis, think pieces, factual write-ups, fact checks from Reuters, and all of these different verifiable media entities, right? And then you still say this. It just boggles my mind, because it is a great point. Like, what is the algorithm feeding you? Like, we have seen the accounts that Aaron Rodgers follows, right? So we know what's going on there. We have seen the accounts that Brian Urlacher, Chicago Bears legend, has followed. So like, we know what's going on there too. But when someone says this, and we're like so deep in it at this point, it should question their reality of this election. It just should. But one thing that also struck me was, okay, who is going to like co-sign this, right? And then who are going to be the people in the middle that are like, oopsie. One of them was Whoopi Goldberg. So she came across the Jackson quote, and she said, Janet, quote, is not a political animal, and sometimes people get it wrong. And they're wrong. They made a mistake. They were wrong. It happens. We all do it. So, okay, a little grace for the girl. When I heard this, I'm thinking like, why? Why? That is a preposterously wrong statement that Janet Jackson said. And as we have seen from study after study, like, their voice does matter, whether we want to believe it or not. I think that is dwindling, but it's still important to a lot of people. And so Anscape's Brittany Daniel, a phenomenal writer, would type, but this isn't just your run-of-the-mill mistake. Jackson didn't mispronounce Harris's name or blank on who her running mate is. Instead, she parroted a right-wing conspiracy theory that seeks to discredit Harris by questioning her racial identity. More from Brittany Danielle. Did I say Daniel? I'm sorry, Danielle. My apologies. Brittany Danielle. After 5 decades in the business, she knows how to manage a public relations misstep. That is very important. So her direction to stay quiet leads us to an uncomfortable truth. Jackson must either believe what she said about Harris, or she's completely divorced from reality and how consequential this election is for black folks. This is key as well. We've called out others for their missteps, such as Meek Mill for repeating debunked ideas about Harris's record as a prosecutor in the state of California, model Amber Rose, who spoke at the RNC, for claiming the vice president is pandering to black people, or NFL player Sauce Gardner saying he's apolitical in a time when the stakes are simply too high. So Janet should not be exempt because we hold her dear. She needs to be called out, lovingly, of course. Because telling a reporter you heard Harris's daughter was white is simply unacceptable, especially in 2024. And to that, I say amen. If you can and are willing, please become a paid member here at TYT Sports. And or go to tyt.com/join. In addition, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Appreciate it. Have a great day.